There was not a single piece of air. Here's another conspiracy. Pooped my pants. You guys, it's exhausting. Aren't you exhausted?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Aren't You Exhausted? The podcast. I am your host, Ashley, and today we're going to be discussing a lot of nothing. If you're getting your hopes up for some juicy tidbits today, I sadly have none for you. Instead, since the girls are hitting the boring era pretty hard, I'd like to play around with some speculation. More so my speculation of things I think are happening behind the scenes and the who, how, what, and why the lies are hitting so hard right now, coming from both dainty ladies. So if you're up for it, get your snack bar stocked and in order. Fill your favorite glass to the brim with your favorite carbonated beverage, extra ice, and be sure to tip your delivery driver if you ordered in. And let's dive into this. Amber blessed us with a new vlog where we get to see a glimpse of her feet. Yes, she is in a boot, and we got confirmation her P.O. Box toddler shirt fit her with room to spare. We had the plucks of see this fits satisfaction. Poop bun is on cue, looking greasier and messier than usual. Our girl is really digging deep for her health after her whale of an eating fiasco that happened roughly a month ago. The twice-a-month takeout meals have turned her relationship with food around, y'all. She's out here doing the damn thing, beating that lifelong PTSD and childhood trauma and almost 10 at-home appointments with her virtual therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. It's hard to keep up with which one is treating her nowadays, but whichever one, 10 out of 10, I highly recommend. We've got to see Amber continue to play in her Instagram Q&As. She's just out there boss babing it. Unfortunately, I've taken to having to log in to my husband's Instagram account to be able to see or view them from my personal space because she's blocked me on both my personal and my channel account, so I can no longer see them. So I've been forced to seek out my husband's phone or community tabs of lovely reaction channels that cover her information. I feel like some people are just too sensitive when being asked about their inconsistencies instead of entertaining a response. Amber just blocks. Accountability, we don't like her. But of course, throughout the Q&As after Destiny's whopper of a tell-all about their breakup and a little of what preceded, Amber has held strong to the fact that her audience can't believe a cheater. Destiny is obviously lying or forgetful or what happened. She's just trying to hurt Amber. She totes is obsessed that Amber is happy with her current partner, which is pretty rich coming from someone admitting a year into the relationship with a new person, an example, Becky, that she was still in love with her ex, an example, Destiny. So poor Becky in this situation. Also, you guys, Amber doesn't lie. She had to lie in certain instances to protect other people, even if these people were, in her own words, liars and cheaters. Amber would never try to profit from telling her side of a shared story. She would never share intimate details of a breakup or broadcast it on a live. She would never. That's disgusting. Amber is not that kind of person. She knows herself. She's a boss babe with aspirations of running her own business one day. The same person who can't be bothered into putting effort into her vlogs has consistently asked her audience for advice on what to vlog about and edits solely on a mobile app for convenience because she doesn't care to learn more. Also, she did briefly sell used cheap Walmart earrings to fund the purchase of more and spent more in shipping than she spent on the original purchasing of the earrings and packaging materials. So there was that. Perhaps we will get another class mention of her taking a business management class. next to her psychology course. I believe she mentioned that months ago. Whatever happened to that? Did she ever mention it again? Is she the new therapist? Did she diagnose herself with PTSD using her newfangled knowledge of therapy from the course? Surely not. Amber would totally never diagnose herself with something a medical professional may have mentioned she may have, or that she Googled her symptoms for. Totally not a thing Amber has ever done. Amber and Chantal both crack me up with their finger pointing at their communities over their mental illnesses and the ableist and fatphobic attitude, the people who question things. They use their mental illness as scapegoats to their actions and behavior because they can't take accountability without gaslighting the audience about their reasonings behind why they should be forgiven for the things that they have said or done, because it's in the past. It's no longer who they are anymore. The day that either of these ladies make an attempt at acknowledging their wrongdoings and making a valiant effort toward a change, I think hell would officially freeze over, honestly. Also, from Amber's latest vlog, it's safe to say with the Temu haul and the shopping portion of the vlog, we're back to aiding the shopping addiction of things that she doesn't need and will be eventually added to the Goodwill pile by the end of the month. It's funny that she never discusses this portion of fixings needing to be done with herself in therapy sessions. Instead, they all seem to be focused on past traumas and emotional baggage with her family. I mean, that's got to be rough, essentially an orphan for most of her young life because of her parents' addictions, and then in adulthood when everyone's getting help for things. Not one of her siblings has ever been mentioned as visiting her, the savior of her younger brother and second mom of her younger siblings. Her own mother, clean and thriving, only visiting her once while they had thought she was at death's door with cancer, and now can't make a weekend trip to see her beloved daughter who had to care for her own siblings in that mother's drug-induced absence. Something is sus there, and I think a good reason no one visits is because it becomes content for Amber. And Amber is weary of them using her for money, as she's mentioned giving them money in the past when they needed it. We know Amber is kind of like a dragon when it comes to money and shiny things. She prefers only giving it away if there's strings attached to it. Becky's mom was not a stranger to this behavior, so I'm sure other people have been subjected to that generosity as well in her life. Amber also discussed her medications briefly in the vlog, partially because I believe it was brought up in her Instagram Q&As a bit. The clarification on what and when she was taking certain psych meds to treat her bipolar and anxiety. A lot of people questioned her timeline on the prescription changes because dealing with psych meds, you can't just change most of them at a drop of a hat. You have to be weaned off of them. And we all know from Amber's own mouth that she kind of hates taking medications and doesn't take them consistently. At least in the past. Here, as of late, she's claimed to take things consistently. But before then, she claimed that things just didn't work, so she'd have them changed. And I guess it never occurred to her that they didn't have time to work if she would only take them from time to time and not consistently. Most psych meds take anywhere from 1 week to 6 weeks to build up in your system to see any kind of change. And usually that 1 to 2 weeks is mostly symptoms that you're seeing. It's not really a change in your behavior or mood. And I also know therapy and psychology seems to be very fluid, and it's really hard to diagnose people properly in short time frames. That most things are just a crapshoot on how to properly treat that person because so many disorders and such have overlapping symptoms and characteristics and have to be discovered through months of sessions to narrow it down and see through mannerisms, body language, etc., which I would think would be difficult doing over a Zoom or online or over the phone and FaceTime, texting. Like, how can you properly gauge a person from behind a screen? So Amber must be putting in some double time with her mental health care provider because she's only 9 hours in of her 12 hours needed, and she's claiming to have beat PTSD and has a better relationship with food after 10 years online, roughly. and having claimed to see numerous therapists and nutritionists and doctors and specialists, why is it just now clicking and in only 9 sessions? I find that odd. Everybody else should find that odd as well. It's just crazy. She's a crazy girl. Or, I'm sorry, she's a quirky, dainty girl. And now with Amber out there beating the odds, making progress, boosting that economy, and keeping child labor in business, we have Chantal out here bringing up the same old talking points for her views and to kind of stir the pot with larger reaction channels. All of this to fund her trip back to Canada and attempt to bring Sam back to Kuwait, which I just don't see it happening. Just throwing it out there. She wants to travel, etc. So unless she finally comes clean about her traveling puff piece that she toted for months, Sam won't happen. Again, this is something she could have avoided if she went and actually went about rehoming her pets properly. A rescue at this point would have been best for all parties to kind of avoid the beaten dead feud between FFG and Chantal. But because Chantal already knew how bad off her senior cat was with her neglect, through her unclaimed neglect, because she'll never claim that she neglected that cat. It was an oversight. But she wanted to avoid that, and that's why she chose to rehome with random people. More so the BBJ being randomly rehomed, as opposed to Sam, who went to family and now is being passed over to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in Canada. I think if Chantal makes it back to Canada to do her visa process, we will be greeted with a hotel and Carbies, lots of wheelchairs, lots of fast food, very messy eating, where she just rages due to stress and being high and miserable and alone, while Silo will have to deal with the constant calls to his phone, texts in the middle of the night, participating in no rage streams to support his wife, of course, so she doesn't take away his spending money. It will be a hell of a ride, I'm sure, but it's been done with her previous trip, so hopefully she can make it more interesting for those of us documenting this. Strumming up talk of adopting or having a surrogate again for the rage about fertility shaming and parent shaming. I know she loves that one. But anyhow, that is all for me today. I wanted to kind of make this as quick and as sweet as possible because not much is going on, and I just kind of gave my speculation on things with a little bit of sass thrown in between. I hope you guys all have a great Memorial Day weekend, and I will talk to you guys again next week. Liam will be joining me, and we will discuss anything new that has happened. If not, it'll just be a breakdown again, like today. Thanks for listening, and bye!